Belong to business today. It's a cold Friday at Bizawan across Kampala and the nearby districts in Uganda. But I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Wiyinza Nakauchi on Sign Language. And tonight we bring to you Business Today for more of your Business Daily Report. Kickstarting it off with digitalization of land titles. Honorable Dr. Sam Mayanja, the Minister of Land, has provided the public with an update on the state of the land industry. The implementation of digitalization storage of land titles, according to the Minister, has advanced land title security. However, James Galabuzi, the chair of the Uganda Land Owners Association, says that the new land information system does not provide you with the most recent history of fraud. More of this report.
Honorable Dr. Sam Mayanja, the State Minister for Lands, told Smart 24 TV that the sector has made some progress in the land information system, which updates people who wish to amend their land titles.
The storage of land titles. Now you cannot just forge a land title. The land title has now security features. It has a special number. It has your telephone number. It has your national ID number. So when it comes out, and the system is such that that title is to the person. And the system is that there is now a portal which is in place. When anybody tampers on your title in the land registry, it will alert you. So nobody is going to tamper now with the security of the custody of the land titles and land information in this country anymore. That system is the first of its kind in Africa.
Reassured the public that the new land information system does not update the histories of fraud on that land, indicating that a return of previous system is necessary.
The current owner, it doesn't give you the chronology of past history. So you may never know where the fraud is. Yet the old system, where a white page would be certified, it would show you at least some history of the owners, past of that land. Today, it is no longer applicable.
The minister also says that they presented report proposals of Bamgemeleyure to His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to review on how to manage land.
Inquiry into the land administration of land in Uganda, which this has ever been put in Uganda since independence. And it produced this report, I think, about 3 years ago. It was submitted to His Excellency. His Excellency accepted the recommendation, and the cabinet set up a committee, subcommittee, to propose how those recommendations are going to be implemented. That subcommittee is still working. And when it finalizes its work, it will submit its report to the cabinet. The cabinet may agree or change whatever they propose on how to implement those proposals. Now, what will come out will be now the way forward for Uganda for the next first year on how to manage land. But remember, the basic principles are set out in the Constitution. The basic tenancies, the basic rights. Article 28, guaranteeing the ownership of property to Ugandan. The article I've read to you, 237.8, on security of occupancy of Chibanja holder. Article 237.9, right to a title to every Ugandan. These cannot change. These are constitutional rights. These others which will come out will be administrative issues, maybe land education should be by a separate court system, how to manage wetlands, how to manage forests, national parks. These are administrative, managerial issues, but the fundamental guarantees of the rights of Ugandans to land are there in the Constitution.
Furthermore, James Galabuzi, the chairperson, Uganda Land Owners Association, pledged the government to publicize the reported proposal for Justice Catherine Bamgemeleyure so that they understand what is in it.
I can't say anything because the report is not yet out. I pray to government that the report is made public so that we can read the contents and advise accordingly. But now I've never received the report from Justice Bamgemere's Commission on Land Management, although I appeared before that commission 2 times. That was in 2018, 2 times. So I look forward to the day I receive that report, go through it, and then I'll make a comment or recommendations accordingly.
All right, now moving on, civil society organizations and agricultural activists have called for a comprehensive audit of all agro-shop merchants nationwide. They claim that while chemicals are designed to kill specific species, if they are not used appropriately, they can also be detrimental to people, animals, and the environment. This and more, as Padison Mombere reports.
Eating foods with pesticide residues such as vegetables, tomatoes, fruits can have health negative effects or even be fatal. Therefore, civil society organizations are calling for an extensive audit to be conducted in order to evaluate their usefulness and efficiency. They are doing this in collaboration with agricultural research pundits.
Maybe during the off-season, we need, you see what pains me most in this country is, as civil society, we know so many things, we are passionate about them, but we speak about them and nothing happens. But for me, I think what needs to be done is civil society needs to agree, work with government. We do an audit in this country about these old shops, because every attendant in any of those shops are in the great risk of dying, and they might not live past 30 years. I'm very sure. I saw one of my attendants actually lost a baby.
Agro-input dealers are required to advise smallholder farmers on pesticide use and storage when they are selling them in many other nations. However, despite Uganda's legal obligation to do so, agricultural activists claim that this obligation has not received much attention there.
Groups exposed to pesticides, production workers, when do we care about them? The people who apply. When you read the Uganda Agriculture Chemicals Control Act, it is actually an offense for someone to apply agriculture chemicals if they are not applicators. Did you know that the law provides that? Who is an applicator? An applicator is a trained person. Not every person must apply these chemicals. And that is the law. But in Uganda, everyone applies the way you understand. And sometimes on bigger farms, we have these production workers who protect them.
I had a research about Mbale City and the foods in Mbale City and the ecosystem of the food in Mbale City, and how dirty and contaminated and unhealthy and risky the vegetables that were being sold in all of the Mbale markets. During lunch, nobody ate salads. Everybody jumped that serving. Everybody skipped the serving. Nobody served.
The Uganda's involvement in regional and international agreements and protocols dealing to the use and control of pesticides and other agrochemicals goes beyond just its domestic laws.
So chemicals, agrochemicals, the president is very passionate about it, and he needs some policy guidance. If you can come up with policy proposals that are really practical, that can help, we'll be very grateful to pass this information to them.
According to data collected from Central and Western Uganda by environmental health researchers in 2021, while 97.0% of the agro-input dealers considered advising customers their responsibility, only 26.6% of the misery shoppers received any advice from agro-input dealers when buying pesticides. 53.2% of the products purchased were officially recommended. Dealers of agricultural inputs displayed a low knowledge of labels and ingredients. Additionally, 10.5% of stores offered products that were not touched or labeled, while 25.0% of stores sold repackaged products. 90.1% of businesses lacked safety equipment, while only 55.7% of the agricultural import dealers had a certificate providing their proficiency in pesticide handling. Only 5.7% could show that they had a valid current license from the government of Uganda. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And right now, let's talk Malta's tourism sector. Despite being one of the industries that contributes greatly to the nation's gross domestic product, the COVID-19 pandemic had a significant impact on the tourism industry. As a means of recovery, the industry fast embraced cooperating with sister nations like Kenya and Rwanda, among others. Now, Desire Mobiru reports more from the tourism sector.
Uganda's tourism industry is still developing compared to its neighboring nations. The World Travel and Tourism Council estimates that Uganda's GDP is directly impacted by the tourism expenditure to the tune of 3.1% compared to Tanzania's 4.8% and Kenya's 5%. However, Ugandan tourism has a bright future. Speaking to Gesa Simplicius, the Uganda Tourism Board's public relations officer, he blamed the pandemic on the industry's subpar performance and promised a better performance now that the government and other organizations have offered their assistance to improve the performance of the sector.
However, government and its partners, World Bank, SEDEB, private sector, are coming up with facilities, loan facilities to support the sector, to streamline and support the sector and people to spring back on their feet. Of course, the recovery is slow, but it is feasible because all we need is to have visitors, people come back and slowly spend money. Because even when you put up facilities and do a revamp, if people don't come and spend money.
Smart 24 TV went ahead and discussed with the stakeholders who attended the Uganda-Kenya Tourism Workshop the impact of Uganda being in partnership with Kenya and how they are going to promote Uganda in forthcoming mega trade fair in Kenya next month.
They came with a Kenyan eye. They came to represent the Kenyan tourist. What do they like? How do they want to be treated? So that's the feedback they were sharing with us. And while they were here, they actually told us some of the things we didn't know, that we like try to despise. I want to give you an example. When they came, they talked about Namugongo, that out of Namugongo, Uganda can have a lot of visitors coming, pilgrimages. In fact, they said Uganda can be the Israel of what? Of Africa. That people come here for prayer, for all sorts of religious activities. So, and they shared with us how exactly we should package it and sell it to the Kenyans, because they will buy and they will come. So we are ready. They have already given us the areas where they think that if we want to tap in the Kenyan markets, we need to package ourselves again.
We're having a collaboration in harmonizing tour agencies and travel tourism founders in Uganda, alongside those in Kenya, coming together to really put out the beautification, the business, the tourism enterprises out there for the global market to really appreciate what Uganda has to offer vis-a-vis what Kenya, Magical Kenya, has to offer.
Stakeholders went ahead and tasked the government on how the sector can be brought back from the COVID-19 losses that were encountered.
Kenya has better developed infrastructures. They have now, right now, Kenya has 3 international airports. They have Jomo Kenyatta, they have Kisumu International Airport, and they have Mombasa. So it means that movement is easier in Kenya. Then infrastructures within the parks have been developed. Then the marketing, you know, I cannot pull out money from my pocket to go to CNN, to go to Al Jazeera, to go to those international media and advertise about Uganda. That has to be the role of the what? The government.
Based on the data collected from some individual pilot studies, international tourist arrivals in Uganda have more doubled by May 2022 compared to 2021. The tourism sector is one of the sectors that were much affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. As a way of recovering, the Uganda tourism sector has decided to work hand in hand with the sister countries like Kenya in this post-COVID-19 process. Desire Nambiru, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Performance of loans. According to the Central Bank, that is the Bank of Uganda, non-performing loans are expected to climb further until 2022. A loan is classified as non-performing if the borrower is in default and has missed one or more scheduled principal or interest payments. Commercial loans are deemed non-performing in the banking industry if the borrower is 90 days past due. Monica Nabionga with the report.
The law defines a dormant account as one which has not had any activity for a period of 2 years, upon which money on these accounts is transferred into a separate register and an issuance note is given to the holder of this account to alert them on the action that has been taken by the bank.
An account becomes dormant in a commercial bank when you take 2 years without making any transaction on that account. And by transaction, we mean, have you deposited some money there or have you withdrawn? At least if you're not putting their money, at least withdraw.
After the 2 years, the holder of such accounts have an obligation to come and reactivate their accounts.
If your account goes 2 years without it, becomes dormant, we shall tell the bank to remove you from here and they put you in a dormant account register because you now have some issue to sort. Along that time, we're expecting you, the customer, to come and reactivate your account.
If the money is unclaimed for a period of 5 years, commercial banks usually take this money to the central bank, which is Bank of Uganda. However, still the depositor or his or her legal representative still have a period of 5 years to claim for this money. And failure to do so, this money is already taken to the consolidated funds.
By 3 years after advertising, no one has come to check on the account. The law is clear. We shall get, the financial institutions are supposed to get all those accounts, plus the monies that are there, plus the information pertaining to those accounts, and they bring it to Bank of Uganda. For what? For safety. 5 years. The moment the money comes here, you have all again the period of 5 years to be come here to claim for your money. You come here because it's safe now here. When you wake up and remember, oh, I had an account with the bank ABCD and the money was there, you come here, you claim, we have the information, the bank has given us the information, we shall give you money back. However, if it takes more than 10 years, you forfeit. Because now, even our documentation processes, after 10 years, the records seem to be even obsolete.
However, one may ask, why would someone abandon his or her account? The general public has different reasons as to why they abandon their accounts. One of the many reasons is the unfair charges from banks.
Personally, I've also ever adopted my bank account. I left it there just because of the behaviors that those workers there, some of them, they are not customer friendly. They are rude. Most cases. So as for us as customers, I think we need a good working environment sometimes. Charges. They can come to us telling us, students, your charges will be like this, there will be little, the discounts, but in actual sense, it's the same. Instead, they're going increasing it. So with that, why shouldn't I abandon a bank?
Withdrawal charges can also limit someone from operating with the bank. Let's say, like, for example, Absa Bank. Some people have mainly limited the charges and the transactions. But they have abandoned their accounts there because of just what the charges are high. Yeah.
For the case of electronic money accounts or mobile money, if the account is not activated within 6 months after it is blocked, then it is closed, upon which balances on such accounts are transferred to the central bank. And if the money is not claimed for a period of 7 years, the central bank transfers this money to the consolidated funds. Monica Nabionga, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Of these particular dormant accounts continues to grow, with most people choosing to leave banks and save with savings and cooperative societies, I should say. Away from that, now we look at e-trade and startup growth. To facilitate the creation of jobs and the provision of services, an association representing businesses and organizations using the internet has been established. By promoting e-commerce, educating the public and working with diverse stakeholders to address issues and seize opportunities, the association hopes to coordinate and advance the development of the online marketplace. Rona Nahabwe has more of the details.
According to a report by Data Reporto, 12 million out of 46 million Ugandans use the internet. In 2021, the internet penetration was rated at 26.2%. Regardless, COVID-19 was a game changer. The government claims there is no turning back. It encourages more Ugandans to utilize digital services and expand their businesses together, since the cost of internet will soon drop. It is also establishing a tribunal for consistent regulations.
Every 15 seconds, a car is moving out of the plant. And the cars are produced on order. So you can see how strong that economy is. I think let us begin now. We have begun with buses. We are going into pickups. The minister was briefing us. We are going into tractors so that we don't assemble, we manufacture our own. There is no way e-trade can thrive without cheap internet. We are also working on that. So far, the internet cost has moved from $70 to $35 per megabyte per second. And we think in the next 6 months, we want it to be at around $25.
Mindset. Even government is trying to business online. And this is an opportune time for the e-trade and startup association. You know, when food is on the table, you don't ask people, are you hungry? You just make it look really good that they tap into it. And that's what COVID-19 has done for the e-trade and e-commerce.
The chairperson elaborated on some of the challenges facing the tech-based trade.
This is on electronics, so there's a lot we can do, and as an association we'll fight for those barriers to be removed. A consulting group that found that the tech sector alone will create 5 million jobs across Africa in the next 3 years. We want those jobs to be created in Uganda. We also see that e-trade in Uganda is growing, but it's still very small. Only about 1% of all transactions are happening online. So versus, say, 25% in Europe and North America. So we have a long ways to go to make sure that online business and online transactions are growing. It's accelerating. There's a high internet penetration. Ugandans want to use technology to sell, to buy, to transact, to communicate. But we have to do more to make that happen.
The economy is now private sector led. During COVID-19, service delivery was improved due to the online applications. Such associations must now be in place to ensure grave digital innovations. Ronana Hapwe, Business Today, Smart.
All right, now away from that, we look at physical planning. Now, poor enforcement of physical development plans in Uganda has continued to affect the construction of buildings in the capital. Uganda has good physical plans but lacks implementation and enforcement. Bronia Katusime has more in this report.